All right, it's over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house we go. Busiest travel day of the year. We'll go over the weather for that, of course. Snow on the ground for tomorrow. And then we'll look ahead to our big Great Lakes snow event that's coming up this weekend. It's Wednesday, November 27th. Good morning, 8:25 here in western Iowa. We'll start with the hazards as we often do. A little bit of fog there in the southeast and South Texas. Up there in the up there in the northeast, where we're expecting a lot of snow, starting tomorrow especially. So a lot of winter storm watches up, especially for the eastern Great Lakes, but not just the eastern Great Lakes. There's going to be some pretty good snows for parts of New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine as well. Maybe even a little bit Massachusetts, Connecticut might get in on some of that. Up there in northern Michigan, winter weather advisory, so be advised, there'll be some winter weather. Some wind issues in eastern New Mexico with some high wind warnings and wind advisories here. And then a big snowstorm for the Colorado Rockies and also into Utah. Winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories depending. A little bit of fog in California and Washington State. And there's severe weather to talk about for this holiday weekend. It's a chance of severe storms today. Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida with the marginal risk, even into Georgia a little bit. And yes, a slight risk of tornadoes, a 2% risk for Mississippi, Alabama, Florida Panhandle into parts of Georgia. Tomorrow, severe weather risk for the southeast into the mid-Atlantic, a marginal risk and a slight risk of tornadoes. Florida, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, just a 2% risk, but a chance for a tornado on your Thanksgiving. No thank you. So hopefully nothing happens here, but keep an eye out. You know, maybe have your NOAA weather radio handy while you're having your Thanksgiving dinner. All right, let's get to our weather spotlight. And I thought we'd not bury the lead too much and take a look at the Great Lakes snow coming up this weekend. This is the snow, according to GFS, from now through Sunday. This is Sunday at midnight. So this is how much snow should fall according to the GFS model. And you see, even in Ohio, you get 2, 3, 4, or 5 inches for parts here. But near the lake, so Erie, Pennsylvania we'll get to next, but up near Dayton or whatever, so 3 to 4 feet of snow. 3 feet of snow up there in the UP of Michigan. Well, maybe 2. 2 to 3 in northern Michigan. You go to the eastern Great Lakes, and the amounts are even greater. So Erie, Pennsylvania, I can't quite make out the numbers, but I mean, we're talking close to 3 feet of snow, 2 to 3 feet of snow here, up into Schenectady. I don't know, in New York. Also in the Buffalo area, off of Lake Erie, 2 to maybe up to 3 feet of snow in some areas. And then you see the snow, just the regular snow for tomorrow, getting into Massachusetts, just clipping Connecticut, up there, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. This is why we have those winter storm watches up in these areas as well. So yeah, it's going to be quite a time of it there for the Great Lakes and this lake effect snow. All right, let's get to our forecast. And we're talking right now, this is your 24-hour temperature change this morning. So cooler with that cool front, southeast, mid-Atlantic, and even up into Pennsylvania, Great Lakes area. But also this cold front is going to be the focus for our severe weather. Warmer from 24 hours ago, Texas, much warmer, eastern New Mexico, and up into the plains and even the Midwest, and then the upper plains and cooler in the west. Surface for today. If you're traveling, these are the areas to watch out, and we see our scattered storms for the southeast. And again, remember, a slight chance of severe here. Rain when you get up into Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, up into the Virginias, and changing over to snow possibly, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and then up into the northeast, which should see a lot of snow, especially tomorrow. Now we see a freezing rain possible in southern or south central Nebraska and in northern Kansas. It is light snowing there this morning right now. Colorado, heavy snow possible today. So if you're traveling, Colorado's probably your biggest travel worry. Could be some light snow up there in the northern plains and a little bit of rain and snow in Washington and northwestern Oregon. For tomorrow, Thanksgiving, again, our cold front moving through the southeast into the mid-Atlantic. Here's our focus for severe weather. And then that should be rain or snow as you get into the Ohio Valley and to the northeast. Heavy snow possible off of Lake Superior in the UP of Michigan. Heavy snow possible New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. Light snow possible into the northern plains. Friday, Black Friday sales. Yeah, it's going to be snowing like crazy along the Great Lakes. So heavy snow possible off of the Great Lakes, and then just your regular snow otherwise. Although a little pocket of possible heavy snow in Maine. Could be some light snow for Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, southern Iowa. We'll see. Maybe some light snow up there in the northern plains as well. All right, let's take a look at our GFS model and see what all this nonsense is about. Starting out this morning, here's your heavy snow in Colorado. Here's your low by James Bay. The circulation around that bringing some cold air across the Great Lakes. And a cold front surging through the center of the country, too, is going to bring some really cold air for Thanksgiving and especially Friday and this weekend. All right, we'll move through today and we'll see. You've got some snow in Colorado. Again, this is the biggest travel worry today. But we will watch some rain busting out here and maybe changing over to snow as it moves into the Midwest. And so this gets us to this afternoon. Yeah, we're already past most of the day. So let me back up. So here's noon today. Light rain, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana. Then we get into this afternoon, picking up a little bit on the rain. And then as we get into this evening, maybe a little bit of snow developing, Illinois into Indiana. This gets us to midnight tonight. Indiana, northern part of Ohio, northern Pennsylvania into New York State is where the snow is. Rain south of that. A little bit of light snow in New Mexico too. And up there in Montana. Then as we get into Thanksgiving morning, the snow really starts to pick up into New York State. Some heavy snows here for Pennsylvania. Getting into Massachusetts and a little bit of Connecticut too. Vermont, New Hampshire, you're included. And just heavy snow for Thanksgiving Day in the Northeast, although rain closer to the coast. And then this trailing cold front, our focus for severe weather possibilities. As that low continues along the coast, rain along the coast, heavy snow inland in New England. And this gets us into Thursday evening, and then Thursday night, and then Thursday later night, and then Thursday midnight. And that's when we start to see the cold air rushing across the Great Lakes, and we start seeing that lake effect snow picking up. And the whole time this low was exiting off the East Coast, cold air has been spilling in behind it. So much of the country is going to experience this cold front. You're going to stay warm in southern Arizona and the deserts of California, but otherwise it's going to be cold this Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving weekend. And then as we get into Friday, you just see the snow jets turning on the Great Lakes. That's our biggest story. Really not much else going on. Just heavy snow off of the lakes. Little disturbance Saturday. This is the one I was hoping would give me like an inch of snow, but it looks like it's going to be further to the west. So maybe Nebraska, Kansas, into Missouri could see an inch or 2 or 3 of snow. Then getting on the lighter side as we get later in the day. Saturday, snow jets continue off of the lakes. Just heavy, heavy snow. A little bit of light snow, Kentucky, eastern Tennessee. Getting into the Carolinas a little bit, but I mean, that cold air is really south now. And we'll show you that, of course, here in just a little bit. This gets us into Sunday noon, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Still lake effect snow going like crazy, even as we get into Monday morning. All right, let's take a look at our anomalous temperatures. Starting with today, above average temperatures in the southwest, through the south central, through the southeast, on the other side of the cold front. And then the other side of the cold front, it's getting colder across much of the country, especially tomorrow. You can see the cold front making good progress all the way through Texas and into the southeast. But the other side of the southeast and the east central coast, we see temperatures staying a little bit above average. The really cold stuff in Canada dipping down into the northern plains. And Friday, that makes southern progress, and it's just going to be really cold for especially the Dakotas, parts of Montana, into Minnesota, here in Iowa, Illinois, the Midwest, into the Great Lakes. Really cold temperatures, well below average too for the Florida Panhandle, southern Georgia, and South Texas. So those translates to these kinds of highs. Today, quite warm in Texas, 80s. Lots of 70s across the southeast, 80s for Florida, mid 70s in southern Arizona. But then you see teens up there in Montana to North Dakota. And we're going to be a little bit above average, or a little bit above freezing here in western Iowa, but still highs in the 30s. Lows tomorrow morning to start your Thanksgiving. Quite cold, below freezing, basically Oklahoma north in the plains into the Great Lakes, and then lots of the southeast or northeast below freezing to start the day. Even 30 degrees in Eugene, Oregon to start the day, 32 for Medford. The highs tomorrow, still warm for South Texas and into much of the Northeast and in getting into the Carolinas. But that cold front will be making southern progress. We'll be below freezing for Thanksgiving here in western Iowa. Friday, getting colder as we showed you on the anomalous temperatures, and below average for West Texas, 51 for Lubbock on Friday. 51 also for Birmingham, Alabama. Or is that 47 Birmingham? One of those two. The other one's Montgomery, I think. Then you get further to the north, like say Kentucky, temperatures in the 30s and 40s. Same for the Ohio Valley. Pockets of 20s and 30s there in the northeast. And 1 in Minot. Why not? Saturday, 4 in Minot, warming up. 20s here in Iowa. And we see more 20s across Michigan and into the northeast, with temperatures a little bit below freezing, even down to, say, Columbus, Ohio. Warming up a little bit for Texas, though. Lubbock back up to 56 on Saturday. Sunday, Lubbock up to 59, but it's going to stay cold across the Great Lakes with that lake effect snow coming down. All right, let's do the 24-hour precipitation. I went for 24 instead of 48 because I know people are traveling. So here's where you're looking for rain and snow. This is precipitation. So that'll fall as snow in Colorado, for example. We'll show you that map next. But the heaviest rain should be Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, into, say, Maryland, into Pennsylvania. You know, we're talking, you know, approaching an inch, not quite an inch of rain or liquid equivalent. And the snow, I mean, pretty good for Colorado, mainly in the mountainous areas, but you're looking at half a foot or a little bit more for the highest elevations. Meanwhile, a dusting, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, again, that's late tonight towards midnight if you're traveling that way. And then a little bit of snow for Pennsylvania into New York, and also for the northern plains. And we're starting to see the lake effect snow already for Lake Superior. Thanksgiving, snow on the ground at noon for the Northeast, for the Rockies, for the mountains out west, and the northern plains, upper Midwest. 8 to 14 day temperatures. Your best chance of above average temperature, western half, maybe a little more than that of the United States. Your best chance for below average temperatures, the further east you go, the better chance you have. And then as far as precipitation goes, your best chance of below average precipitation, California, Nevada, but definitely West Coast and then through the center of the country. Doesn't mean it won't rain or snow, just below average amounts if it does. And then your above average amounts would be South Texas and also for the northern plains. So there you go. The busiest travel day of the year. It's Thanksgiving Eve and a big feast tomorrow. And we will update you on the forecast tomorrow because my little Thanksgiving party doesn't start till, say, 11 o'clock to go watch football, and dinner at 2. I'm very excited about it. Hope you are too. Hope you get to spend it with friends and family. But we will talk to you tomorrow morning. Have a great Wednesday. Thanks for watching The Weather Mike.